behind the players. ETC, a player that represents a lot more than just people who are grinding at ladder and want to aspire to be pro, but also as the working man. He has since returned to his job as in construction and has still kind of juggled being a family man as he has wife and kids and trying to do his job while still kind of playing Hearthstone professionally, really trying to live the dream, but sometimes also kind of admitting that he's not able to prepare as much as he'd like and put everything that he has into being a grandmaster. And so his goals are a little bit different, right? Some players, their goals are to go to the world championships and win. I think ETC just wants to keep this as his career and play his best with a limited amount of resources. And, he's still a very good player. His instincts are sharp. It's just that sometimes at this level, that might not be good enough to get the W because he is dead last in points.
Yeah, not looking too good for ETC right now for Division A, but there's still a miracle run left. And kind of after everything you said and, just looking at ETC's track record, it feels like the biggest thing that ETC can do to improve his overall win rate is just to get lineup advantages. And I think that's what he did this week, and that's why he's having success this week and may not have had success in previous weeks. Yeah, he may not be able to put in enough practice to find those little micro edges in gameplay, but if he comes in with a solid lineup and a good read on the metagame, then he already starts a step ahead, and that gives him some wiggle room. And there wasn't many Malagos Druids throughout the field this weekend, and we're seeing a couple in the top 8. Like if you look across, there was ETC, Firebat, and Sand were the 3 players to bring Malagos Druid. ETC and Sand made it to the top 8. Firebat did miss out, but he was 4-5. So even though he's pretty far down the standings because of tiebreakers, he was just like one more win away for having all 3 Malagos Druids in the top. So definitely like the call here for the Malagos Druid, and does play. I would call this version standard. The Geppetto plus Alex Strauss version. Maybe on like ladder, you won't play that one as often because you're going to run into a lot more fast decks where you don't have time to do those things. But I wouldn't even call Malagos Druid it's an okay ladder deck, but not a fantastic one. And so you coming in with a specialist, just put it in your primary deck and try and get some wins against Priest, which is the most expected field you can see here.
Yeah, that's right. So it seems like if you take a look once again at the division standings here, Killen and ATC have a lot of ground to make up, but they can. I believe if Killen gets top 2 and ETC wins, that should be enough to at least put them in the running for Division A. I think that's what we were talking about. Killen landing in that top 2 should be able to put him in that Division A. There's that really important break point between Firebat and Frozen and Muzzy. And so we do know that a top 4 feel relatively safe. 9 seems to be that magic number. And the closest you can get to that point, or I guess in this case it's 8 because some players like Firebat can't really improve. We'll see if these players can make up that difference. Another one on those lists, NoHandsGamer, a player that's had a top 8 appearance in week number 1 and a bomb down in week number 2. Can he do this in week number 3? Because part of what the relegation system is supposed to help provide is to show some of the best players that aren't in Grandmasters, and NoHandsGamer was certainly one of them.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about it last week, but he did make a tweet longer saying how he didn't feel like he was playing at the level of play of some of the top Grandmasters in Americas, and that he needed to buckle down and focus on improving and not kind of letting other things distract him, and focus his stream more on learning very high level play instead of trying to be like a full on entertainer. And it's kind of crazy coming from a player that's had so much success within the region in the past year, and who consistently floats in top 20, top 15 legend, to hear that from him. And he did have a close call of a weekend, almost missing out on top 8 again. But he's here now, got to try and make the best of it. It is a tough matchup. He is going up against Malagos Druid, which outside of full-on tempo and aggression, which from Priest doesn't happen often, or some key disrupts with Mind Render or Lucia, this matchup does get pretty hard for the Priest, because it doesn't matter how much value you accrue if you're just going to get 30'd at some point in the game.
Yeah, that's right. We, I guess I just haven't really had a lot of faith in Malagos Druid. I've talked a lot about it with some players. I was actually chatting with Admirable, and we're like talking about how it feels weird that anyone still plays Malagos Druid because it feels like it's just so fragile as a deck. You lose your combo damage. How are you supposed to win? You're gonna have to win just through the normal Druid way. It's like if you're gonna win the normal Druid way with your Sarah Unleashed and Guardian Animals, you might as well just play like the survival Druid lists or other ways to capitalize off those spell synergies. And then on the other side is like if you do win with Malagos, does it feel like it's consistent enough that you might as well actually just play the normal Druid list because the Malagos combo seems so infrequent that it feels more like a lucky scenario than actually the regular scenario. Because I see so many druids use like Moonfire to just stabilize, right, against aggression, or they're just like, okay, I'm not going to be able to play this against a Lucio, so I'm just going to use this now. It's interesting. And so I'm curious to see if that actually ends up being the case, because I think a couple of things from the previous series has taught me maybe the way to approach the matchup from Killen's perspective, right? Like maybe in certain scenarios, you're not supposed to use Sorcerer Apprentice to tempo out all these cheap spells for Mage. Instead, if the game gets to a certain point, maybe you save those Sorcerer Apprentice for like really powerful like Fireball combinations at the end. And those kinds of small little, very situational pieces of knowledge could be the difference maker of getting that win that we're not necessarily thinking about.
Yeah, and one of the glorious things about Specialist is ETC's secondary deck is just not Malagos Druid. It is just normal Druid. So that's his compromise. If he's playing against a matchup where he's just going to use all his stuff for all of his burn spells to remove anyway, why even put a dead card of Malagos in your deck? Just play Lake Thresher, Overflow, and some animated boomsticks. That's what he's chosen. So
right. But TJ, it's 412, and Priest can't deal with 412s that easily, right?
True, but he's not going to play that in this matchup. That one's specifically for matchups where you're almost never going to use Malagos.
Right. I guess I was just lead up to the fact that there's a 4-mana or a 5-mana mind control a lot of times.
Yeah.
In Priest's deck when they have Cabal Acolyte and Wave of Apathy. It's going to get number 1. Wow. ETC with some powerful tempo options, all 0-mana cards, but nothing really of substance. And NoHandsGamer, what are you really looking for if you're Priest outside of the Mindrender or Lucio? Do you want that curve, that Disciple of Galakrond and Madame Lazul at all?
Yeah, because that all, especially Madame Lazul, because that gives you the opportunity to get Overgrowth, which is a card that it will most of the time come down before the Overgrowth is played, as long as they don't have other ramp or Lightning Bloom into it. But out of these three, I'd probably keep Disciple of Galakrond and Madame Lazul. Just keep the curve, and Madame Lazul is the added bonus of getting you ramp. You do still want to try and play a proactive game plan. Does he 4-keep? Oh, no. Kept Soulmere.
Yeah, I think he did end up... ETC, blank class. The mysterious, unrevealed 11th class of Hearthstone. He didn't end up throwing away that Wretched Tutor. AoE is not super important against Druid right now, unless they're playing the Token Druid. I haven't really seen many people play it at all. I think I've seen it twice this entire expansion.
Yeah, I don't know about the Soulmere. I would much rather be proactive. Because Soulmere is, against this deck, is only good against, like, the first Guardian Animals. And many times, they will have already gotten value out of their Guardian Animals by the time you react to the Soulmere. Especially if the other cards in your mulligan are proactive tools. So, I don't know if I agree with the Soulmere choice.
I get it, though, right? It's like you want something proactive, but at the same time, Soulmere can be like your way to answer Guardian Animals, assuming it's on an equal pace. If ETC ramps, which looks like he can, into a Guardian Animals, then you're a turn or 3 behind the Druid.
Yeah, I suppose.
Ooh, so Madame Lazul here is pretty interesting if you can find that Overgrowth. And he'll get a shot at it, potentially. It looks like Oh, looks like we have a small.
Looks like Lightning Bloom, Lightning
spectating.
Bloom, Innervate are the choice.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. That was just my guess. Because he started like counting his cards. Definitely wasn't offered Overgrowth. Could have been offered Malagos. Not sure what information he has though. So, a little bit of a bummer. If only.
Overgrowth. Again. I mean, at this stage, ETC has Tempo Malagos. But that's not good enough. He has a bunch of things that ramp, but he needs his card draw.
Yep.
And then for No Hands, is this an opportunity to press in with Tempo, using the opportunity to build his board with Apotheosis and make it hard for the Druid to clear?
Yeah, this is a solid play. He also has, if a big minion does come out, Raise Dead plus the Brittleborn Destroyer as a nice little combo. Wave of Apathy plus Lightning Bloom Cabal Shadow Priest is also something. Oh, he ripped it on 7 mana!
And TJ,
Ooh.
I mean, NoHandsGamer has this check, though. He's got Lightning Bloom and the ability to clear it off if he wants to with Soul Mirror and draw more cards. He also can just take it really chill. And, like, I guess he drew Shadow Word Death. He could use that, but it deals only 1 damage, and you know there's a lot of big threats potentially in this deck that you want to check.
I wonder.
Yeah. This is...
I think I like that Soul Mirror.
just it's very expensive.
It is expensive, but it's not like it costs you... Like, you do end up drawing cards to replace it.
You do draw cards to replace it, but you go into next turn with 4 mana. 5 mana with the coin.
Oh, okay. NoHandsGamer's looking to steal a card potentially with Wave of Apathy because he does have access to the Cabal Shadow Priest.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Neat. All right, I like that actually because it does actually keep the threat in check. Because the most important thing is he doesn't want to let his opponent draw more cards. Oh wow! Coin and Forbidden Words. All right, everything worked out. That Lightning Bloom ended up paying off huge dividends for NoHandsGamer. Was that Forbidden Words a little bit aggressive though? You think, or do you think it was necessary to clear off the board?
So let's
there?
look at his hand. I don't think so, because this turn he does have Raise Dead plus Brittleborn Destroyer. So as long as he has enough mana for that to be able to deal with whatever. All right.
Whoa.
Well, that's.
Wow.
Oh man.
I mean, I'm happy to eat my words, right? Like we're talking about how Malagos Druid, it really needs certain things to line up. Things are looking great for ETC, as he has Alexstrasza and Forestborn Onu for 1 mana. Actually, when it becomes 1 mana, it is Uno.
So, because right now with this hand, the only way you lose is Mind Render. Just dump stuff. I don't know. Just dump a bunch of things.
Time waits for no one.
Like, I just want to get out these Innervates and Lightning Blooms and play Alexstrasza. Maybe just Innervate, Lightning Bloom, play Alexstrasza.
I mean, that's already... The reason why I like this Alexstrasza, though, is because it kind of already makes use of ETC's hand, and he's already, I guess... Like, I guess if he innervated, he would be wasting that mana crystal, and I think he needs those mana crystals for the Malagos.
I must
Either way, this is still looking pretty good for ETC. I do think that there is merit to just holding on to this Alexstrasza surprise, just because we know that Priest can do some big heals. Swipe Moonfire and Hero Power. 9 plus 5, or 9 plus 6 plus 1.
It's almost. If he picks up damage from nature studies, he has it.
But do you go for it, right? That's the bigger question. You have the opportunity to go for Malagos, Innervate, Onu, Spell Burst with Nature's Studies, and then go for it. He also can just Nature Studies first here. I think he still has enough mana to do it because he has 2 Lightning Blooms to make it very nice and clean. Germination!
Wait.
I mean, you Lightning Bloom Malagos, play Onu, then Lightning Bloom again,
Lightning Bloom
right?
again. Yeah, then Germination. Yeah.
In time, you too will be.
Wow. Wee. I mean, Malagos Druid has some crazy power spikes if you're able to do this. And that's a game 1 victory for ETC. Well done.
That was it.
Turn 8 kill.
Yeah, I was gonna say how much mana was No Hands on? He was only on 6. So yeah, no, it was
Turn 7
kill. Turn 7 kill. That's right. It felt like so much had surpassed by that point in the game. But yeah, that was a turn 7 kill, and nice little sequence there by ETC at the end. It's hard to tell if that was like the optimal line. Like, yes, Germination is what gave him lethal exactly, but if he plays like Teacher's Pet, Omu, then Nature Studies, it gives him a better play if he misses, like if he whiffs on lethal, for instance. So he kind of went like all in on I need 1 damage or Germination. There was probably another maybe like cheap card draw, but he did find it. So I think he was okay with a weak turn also if he didn't hit it. The only thing that would have punished him at that point was Mind Render, I think.
Well, I mean, that is an explosive way to start off this series. Seems like game 1s have been very fun so far in these best of 3s. But that leads us to our next break and potentially another reason why you should be considering the T-Mobile deck Spotlight. That Malagos Druid almost as much coverage over that Priest as the largest 5G network in America. We'll be right back in a few minutes with more Hearthstone Grandmasters.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network. T-Mobile.
Though Viper's spiteful Smith may have been reduced to 0 attack from Lazul's scheme, he still manages to make excellent use of it. With a creative use of backstab, he's able to squeeze out the 1 extra point of damage he needs to take down Yala.
Been representing lethal currently for Viper. Secret Passage number 2 off the top. I believe there is just an Eviscerate remaining in his deck. The backstab enrages the spiteful Smith, plus the Eviscerate.
Oh my, oh
for
my.
the game-ending damage. Without the backstab, that was not lethal. Insane.
A board full of boombots and a Plague of Death in hand sounds like an easy play to me, but that's why Eddie is our Week 2 America's champion, and I'm not, because he sees a much more aggressive approach to take the win.
Wait, does he want to kill him with Soul Mirror? TJ!
Oh, Soul
TJ!
Mirror! He won! His cards are green! He won! I completely forgot about that! That's insane! Yeah.
Oh my gosh! What? That
yeah,
was
Dan.
swag.
If you've been playing ladder the last few months, you'll know the power of Risky Skipper and Armorsmith when they work together, specifically against Aggro Rogue, which is exactly what Monsanto was playing into Language Hacker's Warrior. But despite getting hit with the combo twice, he doesn't relent, and after some very clever trades, finds a well-deserved win.
Has a turn, like if he wants to go Ankar plus armor up here, go up to 13. Just 2 cards in the deck, just like completely lock him out almost.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like a breakpoint thing. Like,
just do it again.
Monsanto with the slow blink. He knows. Oh, protect the stealth minion. Okay.
Passage. That's it. That's
Wow.
exactly 19, right?
In the shadows.
Yeah,
Oh my, what?
he actually won.
Wow! Wow!
I can't believe he won.
Wow.
I think
So-
for Language Hacker, he was really surprised, but at the same time, Monsanto had been passing and holding like these 3 cards for so long.
Given that newcomer Tiz is at 21 health and has the ability to put Shaxi down to 2, it's fair to say that both players thought he was winning. But with an insane final turn from Shaxi, he turns things around with an incredible lethal, seemingly more of a surprise to him than anyone else.
An outcasted I-beam for healing, unfortunately. That just works.
Yes, unfortunately. If it gets like another twin slice though, is that lethal? 10. Oh!
Wait a minute.
That's
Shaxi
lethal!
looks like he's shocked.
What?
I would not believe it either.
What?
Is it really? Oh my god.
Oh my god! What?
Shaxi wide open mouth.
It's been a while since Tom60229 won his World Championship trophy, so it's easy to forget just how dominant of a player he is. But with his play on the Zoo Warlock against Tyler, he reminds us all just how good he is. By deliberately overdrawing a card with his life tab, he's able to discount his Flesh Giant perfectly to allow him to clear the board and, with a little help, keep it in play.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that it's a must kill. And rush out the 8/8 and use the Broom Rush. And he's doing that type deliberately just to get 1 mana extra.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, I like that. It's a full clear now because he fits in the Guardian Merchant as well.
And he gets an 8/7 on the board. That was really, really smart. Deliberately overdrawing, and he gets an 8/7 on the board as a result. That is huge.
Welcome back, everyone, to Hearthstone Grandmasters. Hope you enjoyed that nice little segment. I am, of course, Derek Brown, joined by the best analyst in the APAC region, Gia, as we are ready to start our next game
I was
here.
already
Middle
go with
between
that.
ETC and NoHandsGamer.
I
I didn't want
right
to.
at the
I didn't
end.
want to try and do an awful UK accent. I think I don't want to, destroy the remaining eardrums. Having had to listen to 3 UK casters over the course of the day, TJ, they've suffered enough, don't you think?
Yeah. And I also didn't want to do a poor impression of actually being good at Hearthstone. So we're kind of both in the same boat there, Dan, of not trying to look silly being something we're not.
That's right. ETC, 15-7 game score this week, by the way. Seems like he is on a tear. And remember, the game score pretty much translates to the power of the deck because it's specialist. So it's not that he just has a 15-7 game score for ETC, but Druid, his Malagos Druid, is particularly good at a solid 15 out of 22 games, which is almost a 70% win rate for this Malagos Druid. And if he gets another win, I mean, he is going to be right there. And that already shows you that maybe it was just the right meta call.
Yeah, the only player actually with a higher win rate, game win rate than him is Killen, with now 17-6 is his game win rate.
Right.
But I still think that if Killen had faced more priests, that win rate would be lower. Whereas if ETC had faced more priests, that win rate would be higher. That may not make complete sense, but ETC's losses were to Language Hacker and Eddie, who both had Turtle Mage, and then Zalay, who was playing the just like survival druid. So if he had kept playing against more priests, then his win rate would have been even higher.
Wow, that is definitely very interesting to think about. Well, here we go into game number 2. See if ETC can keep up that win rate. I mean, win rates are expected to be high when they make it onto broadcast for the week because they are the ones winning and therefore in top 8. But it is interesting to start thinking about, who are like the more dominant performers versus those who are kind of narrowly getting their edge in and like winning 2-1. ETC starts off with the ability to get Overflow, Survival of the Fittest, or Bog Beam.
Time waits for no one.
I mean, he only has one Overflow in his deck, but that's a lot of card draw.
Right.
I mean, I guess it makes sense though because Survival of the Fittest not good. Bog Beam could be good to kind of maybe shore up some of the weaknesses of the turns where he's trying to set up his combo. But getting to the combo seems more important than dealing through damage.
I mean, Malygos Druid is usually limited by only 2 things, which is surviving and drawing the cards you need to combo. Like ramp is obviously important, but not entirely necessary. So yeah, I think that this is looking pretty solid for ETC the moment he can find any way to ramp his cards. And it looks like NoHands already going to put that Mind Render to use and see if he can utilize a way to get rid of the cards, and he can.
Yeah, but there's actually not that much stuff that he can get rid of. He can get rid of Lightning Bloom and the coin, which then overloads him. He can also get rid of Breath of Dreams, but that draws ETC a card.
Job's done.
Just dream big and hope that you actually hit that dragon.
Yeah, I guess.
The Forest Warden Onu coming to the hand actually means that Geppetto can't draw that, which might make ETC guaranteed draw the Malygos. We can just draw closer to it. There's not many minions in the deck for ETC. He's got Sarah Unleashed, Malygos, Alex Straza, and of course the actual beasts that he can summon through the guardian animals.
What to do?
I think he has a guardian animals in his hand on the other side. Just ditch the Shadow Word Ruin?
Right. Oh, that's so interesting with the way that the spells discount come into play here.
Yeah, that's this is a weird thing. This is a weird spot because you'd normally think like, oh, do I just penance and clear this off and pass? Like, penance is a pretty good tool, but with guardian animals in his hand, knowing that that's on their side, Showered Ruin is probably the most impactful. It's a shame he can't dump the Soul Mirror, but Nature Study is not that powerful. Oh, nice. Playable card.
Okay. I mean, playable card is huge. It does seem like NoHandsGamer pretty much in the spot where he has to hope he has a playable card to pressure the Druid, because if he only has a certain amount of window. But the good news is that by dumping things like that Lightning Bloom and that coin, harder for ETC to get that ramp.
Yeah. Shadowwood Ruin dump paying off right now.
I mean, here's the buff to Temple Enforcer coming in, right?
Yeah.
This is a card that was changed from the classic preset getting a rework, which still might be one of the most important things going into rotation. I think a lot of people, of course, were talking about the new class and all the great stuff for Ashes of Outland, but one of the best things, I think, that the Hearthstone team has done moving forward is actually reevaluate the classic and basic set. And what's exciting is maybe even the future of that, as an AMA was talked about recently upon Scholomance Academy's release. And in that Reddit AMA, they were talking about things like how they want to evaluate even more classes in the basic and classic set. So exciting times to see like how classes will continue to evolve in their identity. And one of them is having more playable cards in the preset, and Temple Force is part of that.
It's still not actually played in decks, but because of how much random stuff Priest generates, yeah, it's actually played onto the board a good amount of time.
Right, but like cards like Shadow Word Death and Shadow Madness and other things like that, Holy Nova, It was a nice breath of fresh air to kind of see Priest have more of that core stability as opposed to like, well, here's another AoE card that Priest needs because their classic set seems to be a little underpowered here.
Well, I mean, they did get Shadow and Ruin. Okay. Still nothing to really do for ETC going to the next turn. He had his coin dumped, a Lightning Bloom dumped, and an Innervate played on the turn he played the first Twilight Runner. Oh, geez. Just has to draw cards, looking for Overgrowth. Specifically, oh man, this is not looking good. Guardian Animals will still pull full value worth of beasts here. He's playing his primary deck, so he has just the one Lake Thresher, one Teacher's Pet left for Guardian Animals, but second Guardian Animals will be dead. So it's still going to take a while for ETC to piece things together because he did not hit ramp. No wild growth,
I mean,
no
this is a
overgrowth.
really expensive hand. I'm tempted from NoHandsGamer just to kind of play as fast as I can onto the board, and that's Kronks. Just to put a 6/6. I guess maybe he was like seeing if Disciple of Galakron would change his play.
Yeah, also has had a Mind Rendered. Oh no, Mind Render hasn't died. He had a
It's just never going to die.
It's just
apparently, at the end of the
huge
game.
and on the board. That's why I just was
Right.
like, oh yeah, Mind Render died. Nope, it's a 3/9 with Lifesteal.
Yeah, and ETC is incentivized to not kill that Mind Render for that reason. But now that Raised Dead has been played, maybe less of an issue. Guardian Animals pulls.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
I like the hold from NoHandsGamer there on Disciple because he knew the Guardian Animals was in hand because he saw it when he Mind Rendered initially. And he obviously ETC's going into 7-mana. He knew exactly which beast would be pulled from the Guardian Animals since he's seen both Twilight Runners. If he plays the Disciple of Galakron, it would have given ETC an easy way to deal some free damage onto one of these large minions that he was trying to protect with Lake Thresher. So kind of a small thing, but one that could have had a big impact if ETC didn't find some additional removal there to try and fight back, try and clear things up more efficiently. And he can still go Invoke plus Galakron this turn in order to get the double minion kill.
Okay, well. The timing of Galakron is also kind of interesting because that armor burst might be super valuable to just put yourself slightly out of range. But that's really difficult to evaluate because of the fact that Druid can potentially discount a lot. So sometimes it's like, well, you can gain armor and go above 30, but then Malagos Druid can sometimes deal way above that. No Hands evaluating if it's worth bumping at all with this Teacher's Pet, but realize he might open himself up to the ability for Druid to just clear it off very easily. ETC finally gets ramp into the hand, but it looks kind of late to the party here. Instead, does he just want to play Geppetto and just draw 2 cards, 2 of his minions, and reduce them to 1 mana each? He's already played one of his Twilight Runners, and he's also played Guardian Animals.
He only has Ysera, Malagos, and Alexstrasza left in his deck. So a lot of value from this Geppetto. If he hits Malagos and Alexstrasza, whew. Woo!
Okay. All right. I mean, that's kind of the dream, and ETC has the... I mean, he doesn't really need to do much beyond that.
He needs burn damage, though. But he's got Forest Warden Nomu. He's got Germination. So he's got everything he needs except for the damage. With Galakrond played and NoHandsGamer being at 35, it does change the breakpoints a bit.
Okay, Bog Beam. Not enough to clear it off. He just needs kind of some big damage sources like Swipe still. Man, he looks kind of overrun by all the options. He's got so many ways to potentially draw cards here with the overflow and the overgrowth, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be something he can play this turn here. So
Let's see.
is he forced to use it defensively? He's going to go for the Alexstrasza here? Oh, geez, this looks so bad.
So he's going to dump cards and then go for overflow, but he's still not dumping enough cards.
Time waits for no one.
He needs to not burn the Ysera Unleashed here, because that's going to be kind of a necessary... Okay, those aren't the worst burns.
Yep. Yeah. Nature Studies finds.
He needs to dump another card, though. No? Okay.
Maybe he feels okay because he's just going to go for like a giant amount of tempo swing and try to win through Ysera Unleashed.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 4 cards left in the deck, but like you said, he's holding a full hand.
A Malagos Germination swipe Moonfire is enough.
I mean, at this point, from NoHandsGamer, what does he need to do to like kind of lock this in? Maybe the Mind Vision can give him exactly what he needs, but it seems so hard to guarantee given that his opponent's holding a full hand. Mind Games when he knows that there are still potential minions to be pulled, but there's so few cards in the deck that doesn't seem reliable either. He just goes with Radiance.
Yeah, I mean, that'll allow him to heal up, but honestly, like...
My hand is too full.
If most of the time VTC is going for straight up damage here, then there's not going to be any healing up. He's just going to die. Wait, does he have a guaranteed because he draws the rest of the cards in his deck?
He's got 14 through this. 11 through the Moonfire. I mean, it's not guaranteed, TJ. Unless I'm missing something here.
Okay, so he's just cashing in right now on this because that's as good as it's going to get. Then next turn, he's just going to go Ysera plus Plurals.
Ysera. That makes sense.
I was trying to figure out a way if he could wait for a turn because unless he used a swipe and I just don't remember.
I feel like he could have though.
But I can't cross off any other cards. Because I know he used a Moonfire, he used an Innervate, he got a Lightning Bloom played, he burned a Lightning Bloom, burned an Innervate. So like his last card has to be...
No, maybe you're right. Maybe he just had to go that turn. It's easy for us to say, right? Because it's like we saw how ETC might have been able to go for even a bigger dramatic opportunity to swing this, but seems like he, at least at surface, had the best possible way to deal with the board immediately. NoHandsGamer trying to see if he can find a way to maybe swing the Malagos on his side. He's going to go ahead and steal the one that's on the board.
Dance, puppet, dance.
Maybe even develop a little bit further or heal up with the Radiance. I don't think he needs to anymore now that Malagos has been dealt with.
Yeah.
I'm almost out of...
But still going to be scary. Last card is Swipe, or second last card is Swipe, rather.
Yeah, it's hard to say he could have just waited a turn because he might have just died. Because he wouldn't have cleared off any of the board, or he would have had to use burn spells in order to do so. So,
I mean, NoHandsGamer's got to check through. The first wave checked through a lot of this removal, guaranteed that the Plague of Death. And I can't help but feel that, like, yes, ETC is going for these big dragons, but if this push doesn't work, did he just pull the trigger a little bit too early? Or was perhaps there's another way? It's something definitely worth evaluating a little bit closer when you look at the VODs and try to think about how to optimize your play. If possible, right? There's a scenario... Ooh, nice, Skeleton Dragon. There's a scenario that ETC may have just done everything he could have here. Oh my gosh, spell damage. Also, is that like the perfect amount of Dragon Portals? I think so. Drew 5 portals and he had 5 slots on the board.
Yeah.
And then drew his last 30th card in his deck.
Yeah. So now it probably has to be a Plague of Death. Because Soul Mirror doesn't clear off enough of these minions, and he doesn't have enough damage on the board to clear off the rest. He knows that ETC is going to have the rest of the cards in his deck, which at this point is honestly not much, because he knows Guardian Animals, Overflow, Wild Growth, and Breath Retrieves are all dead cards. And then Swipe. And the Bronze Herald, which he doesn't know what that is. It's just a random dragon from Skeletal. So, still one last push from ETC if he gets some oddly shaped dragons from this portal, from these last 2 portals in his deck. That dodge Soul Mirror. Or, potentially, if he gets... spell damage, like Malagos, or 2 of the...
It's gotta be like 2 Malagos. It's gotta be something crazy. And it's not. Oh, jeez. I mean, I think No Hands is going to survive this. And another thing, too, is that these aren't dragons that have higher health than their attack. Like you were talking about with this Soul Mirror here. So what possibility is there? I think he's completely locked out. No Hands actually
even got the animated broomstick.
Yeah. No Hands can even Madame Lazul and try to like narrow it down to like a completely solved situation. Almost. He can see and peek in. He knows a few of the cards. Knows about Wild Growth already. Knew about Breath of Dreams. The Overflow is particularly interesting. Because maybe that's a little bit of healing that he needs. But I think that NoHandsGamer pretty much can play this one from cruise control here.
Yeah, animated broomstick actually is sick to deal with the last couple of dragons.
Well played.
Right. The dragon.
He just
broomstick to deal with the
bronze
dragons.
dragon to deal with it. Yeah, and ETC knows. He's like, I'm not getting there.
Yeah.
Gonna take too much fatigue in the time being, even that 3 damage on the sword. So, tied up series.
That's its 1-1 score. NoHandsGamer gets closer to moving on to those winners match to play Killing All Day. As ETC found the lethal through the Overflow. So with that, again, I'm not sure if ETC really ever thinks about switching. It shouldn't really be the case, considering that Malagos was the winning combo there. But I guess if we were to go back to that very pivotal turn where he ended up going for that Malagos swing and committed to that, was there a way for him to potentially avoid having to play the Malagos in that position? Or was there a way that he could have laid better foundation to not have to use Alex Straza so early on himself, right? And these are like questions that are definitely going to your mind. Was it like he needed to play a little bit, faster? Was he need to save more resources? What do you think, Teach?
I honestly don't think there was much that he could have done. As lackluster as it seemed at the time, the Mind Render actually did hurt his game plan a lot, ETC's game plan a lot, because he had to use Innervate to get out Twilight Runner and then Twilight Runner. By the time he got to the point where he could really make meaningful development towards his combo, No Hands had already had a significant lead on the board. If that turn where he went for Malagos, if he goes for almost anything else there without using a piece of his removal, he probably dies. Because there was a good amount of power on board. He had already used the Alexstrasza defensively, so he was not at a very high life total, and he's not even guaranteed swipe the next turn because he had, I guess he had 2 cards left in his deck, but he wasn't guaranteed swipe the next turn, and guaranteed swipe the next turn to be able to go fully for the combo and clear off enough from the board to where it matters. So
Light shall bring victory.
I don't think there was much, but it's one that we could go back and look at for sure to see if what happens if he waits, what happens if he barely tries to survive. And now we'll get into game 3, and yep, both players still on primary decks, which makes sense because it seems like the best ones, and also, I mean, this is what you're expecting in the field. ETC built his primary deck specifically for Priest, and the other 2 were for maybe like the rogues or something aggressive to take out some of his combo pieces.
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go. Game number 3. The early mulligans. NoHandsGamer with the Madame Lazul. ETC kind of thinking about if it's ever worth keeping cards like Innervate versus just going for a full mulligan and trying to get early ramp. Oh, geez. Okay, that's a lot less playable than the hand he just threw away. Oh,
well,
Gonza
okay, there we go.
Though.
Now it's playable.
Looks like No Hands, of course, has the Madame Lazul, the Kronks, the Soul Mirror. He's got tools. ETC ramping with the Breath of Dreams. That's already a sign for NoHandsGamer to maybe start thinking about what that means, right? Because there's only a handful of dragons that could possibly make that happen. It's just Malagos and Alexstrasza and Ysera Unleashed.
Oh, I like this. Yeah, he wants that overgrowth. Oh no!
Oh.
He's like, okay, if I want overgrowth, this is my last chance to get it. If it's in the opening hand, I need to coin it out, or else he's gonna play it next turn. It'll be gone forever. Madame Lazul will never touch it.
Right.
Yeah, but he knew. He's like, I know it's there, but didn't hit it.
It's a good read. Honestly, it's a good read. Like that's a good play that didn't pan out, and that happens at times. I mean, it's a card game. There is variance. It's never gonna go away in a card game, and I think that No Hands should be happy with that play because he made the correct read, and sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah. Now this one's interesting. Apotheosis allows him to put some pressure on. The Master Spell also has a lot of merit for if you don't have an answer to like a Malagos place on the board. But he actually has a lot of it. Now, the rough part about this one is now ETC has 2 7-mana spells in his deck that are completely dead. He has 2 Guardian Animals in his deck that do nothing. That's the downside of it. The upside is, it's the nuts. Right now. I'm taking the upside over that downside any day of the week.
I agree, and I think that No Hands starts to have to take this Shadow or Death and remove that Twilight Runner. It's a high priority. I don't think Zephyrus is what you want to play here. It feels kind of premature. I am wondering if we want to use Renew at all to potentially find spells that could be really impactful, but it seems like No Hands instead. Just gonna chill. I mean, you could get value off of that later. Feels bad to Renew when you already have full health. Another Guardian Animals. I mean, at this point, he doesn't. The Guardian Animals will just be dead draw, so I don't think he needs that, considering especially since he has Teacher's Pet and Twilight Runner in his hand.
Yeah. I wouldn't have even minded like just Wild Growth and just play it this turn, so you have one more mana next turn. And one less card in hand. I guess by banking the mana from Nature Studies, you kind of do have one more mana than you would. But... Oh man. Disciple of Galakron, Gift of Luminance for tempo. Nah,
Yeah, I'm thinking pretty hard about Gift of Luminance and thinking about, like, is it good to play it on Twilight Runner, right? And then play it on that. It just seems too slow. Betrayal!
And then does it cleave? And it cleaves itself?
I mean, that's not really intuitive at all.
Some of the Lake Thresher things don't seem intuitive.
That would be quite surprising. That would be the first time I would see that interaction.
I mean, okay, Betrayal, a minion deals its damage to the minions next to it. And then
right.
When it,
and then it says,
but it's not an attack, it deals its damage.
Exactly.
So if it was this minion attacks the minions next to it, like in the case of ramming speed, then it would work. Like if you ramming speed a Lake Thresher into another 4/4 and then it cleaves itself because it's attacking and it's next to whatever it's attacking.
Right.
Not that that would matter. It matters if it's a 4/6 attacking a 4/4 because then it kills it. Weird.
Time waits for no one.
Indeed, it does feel strange, but it, at the end of it, it looks like ETC is looking pretty good. He's got the Double Moonfire, he's got the Swipe, he's got Alexstrasza in the hand, he's got 10 mana. He could actually just play the pressure game plan, play Alexstrasza, then next turn play hit for 4, put his opponent down to 11, and then maybe within striking distance to end the game with Malygos. Actually, that would be because you get to play Onu, Swipe, then play Malygos into 2 Moonfires, which is 16 bursts from the hand. Time rip being used also means that less removal for this Alexstrasza. Things are, again, looking very good for ETC.
The most lackluster imprisoned homunculus on the planet.
So Soul Mirror here would actually be death, I believe.
Yeah.
Is No Hands at a checkmate point of this series? And it looks like it might be the case here. He doesn't have a way to remove and heal. Being at 15 is not what he wants to be at right now. That's what's scary about this Malygos Druid. The breakpoints have all changed from what you've normally come to expect because of the discounts and the ramp and all the really powerful combo cards. Second swipe for insurance, and with that, ETC is going to be able to win 2-1 over NoHandsGamer and meet Killing all day in the finals. The dream for ETC to make that Cinderella run in week 3 is very much alive if he can get to the top 4. That is step 1.
Yep. Step 1. He's probably a little sad that Killen actually won that series. He'd much rather face Muzzy, I think. Obviously because you can tell how strong his lineup against Priest when it gets going. But, just making it there and having another chance, at least there's now Priest in the lower bracket. So if he loses to Killen, then he gets to face another Priest. And kind of funny that even though the Priest did well against like the larger field, 4 out of the 5 Priests that we had in Americas all made it to the top 8. It seems like the Priests are all getting eaten up by the other decks that players brought, like Turtle Mage from Eddie, Temple Mage, the greedy Temple Mage from Killen, his secondary deck, and the Malygos Druids. So we'll see if any of them end up even making it to the top 4, despite a good performance overall against the field. But that does set us up, Dan. Not now, a little bit later on, for the Muzzy versus NoHandsGamer Priest Mirror.
That's right. So that will be coming up here later. But first, of course, we're going to have that very interesting Mage versus Druid coming up. And we get to see two players who desperately need those points guarantee themselves in Championship Sunday. So we're going to take a few minutes and, give ETC an opportunity to get a breather. We don't want to immediately jump into the next series, just so that's a little bit fair. And when we come back, Hearthstone Grandmasters week number 3 winners bracket match for Group A will get underway.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network. T-Mobile.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Mullet Over.